Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Today discussing one of Sam's favorite topics because it's hot right now, Sam. This was hot before it even became scorching. The big question, is Matthew Stafford a future Hall of Famer? People were even asking this question before he won a playoff game. This was an open discussion because Stafford, whenever he retires, when and if he retires, he's going to have a ton of passing yards, a ton of touchdowns. He's been, he's thrown for a lot of raw passing stats, but now he's got a little playoff success behind him as well and a potential Super Bowl. So will a win in the Super Bowl push Matthew Stafford over the top in Canton?
Will it? Yes. Should it?
Really?
Yeah,
I think it will for sure.
I think there were people that would have put him in there anyway, based off the kind of trajectory that he's been on. Remember, Stafford is one of these guys where throughout the entirety of his career, he's been like, oh, Stafford is on a faster yardage pace than Peyton Manning and Dan Marino. And like, that's the kind of like statistical output he's had throughout his entire career. Then over the last few years, the narrative has sort of pivoted to Stafford is this incredible quarterback that's been dragged back by the Detroit Lions all this time. And there's these guys that think, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. You give him a team like the Rams, and all of a sudden we'll see that. And now he's going to a Super Bowl. He very well may win the Super Bowl. They'll be favorites over the Bengals. So if he wins, there are absolutely people that will 100% rubber stamp that and validate that as a Hall of Fame career. Now, look, the caveat that I think I would be a little bit harsher in terms of Hall of Fame, threshold than other people. Like I think there are QBs that are in there at the moment that probably shouldn't be. But Stafford is one of those guys where if you have a harsh enough threshold, like was Stafford ever the best quarterback in the NFL? No. Was he ever amongst the very best quarterbacks in the NFL? Not really. Like, you have to set a pretty low bar for Stafford to clear it, would be my point.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I usually land as far as the standard goes. Because I remember people talking about Donovan McNabb in this light at one point. There were debates because these are debates. This is sports. We can have fun with it. We can have these discussions. People brought up Donovan McNabb, and I remember thinking, okay, was Donovan McNabb ever a top 5 quarterback in his era? And I don't think he ever really was. They went to 4 NFC championships, never really won a Super Bowl, went to 1, but McNabb had a very good career. I feel the same about Stafford, except he mostly played in an era with this distinct top 8 quarterbacks, I think. Pretty distinct 8, 9, maybe 10 quarterbacks who were mostly better than him. I think Stafford's QB 10, QB 11 of his era. We've got Brady, Breeze, Manning, and Rodgers, who we know are up there. I think the next tier behind those guys, Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan has had a better career than Matthew Stafford, Ben Roethlisberger. I always throw Andrew Luck in this bucket because he's in that era, even though his was a lot tighter. Who am I missing? And then Phillip Rivers. And Phillip Rivers is another guy that, is expected to go to the Hall of Fame, but there's even detractors there that say he doesn't have the playoff moments. So the case against Stafford, I think, is a pretty firm one. Because you just look around, it's like, was he a top 10 quarterback of his era? It's close. He's barely in that top 10 of his era. I don't think there's many people you'd put above him. At the same time, I do believe playoff moments matter. And I do think, see what happens in the Super Bowl. If you look back at the season and you say, hey, the Bucs tried to blitz Matthew Stafford with the game on the line. He hit Cooper Kupp, 3rd and 3 to Cooper Kupp. Game-winning drive. And he's putting this all together in the playoff run. I think you can make this case, which will then back up all those stats, which really don't mean a whole lot, just passing touchdowns and passing yards, because that was what people are going to use at least as a foundation.
It also, but the problem with those things is they're very like dependent on what somebody else does, like your playoff moments matter, but if somebody else answers or does something else, like how many playoff moments has Tom Brady ruined by then like coming back and doing it to somebody else? You know what I mean? Like Matt Ryan had some playoff moments.
He had playoff moments.
Yeah. Tom Brady then dumped all over, in one 28-3 comeback that ruined Matt Ryan's legacy. So if you look at Matthew Stafford's PFF grades for his career, this season is his highest grade. It's an 85.1 overall. And the difference between that and like his next best grade is basically the playoffs, right? His actual season grade, regular season grade, is basically right in line with what he's done in Detroit. He's got an 82, an 82, an 81.8, 81.4. His regular season grade is in the same place. So these playoff moments that you're talking about is the difference between his Detroit baseline and his current best season ever. Matt Ryan has 3 seasons that are better than that. He's got 2 more that are right in the same ballpark, and then 2 more that are kind of better than anything else Stafford did in Detroit. So basically half of his career was better than anything Stafford has done in a single season. Phillip Rivers, I think it's even more clear. He's got 4 seasons that are better than anything Stafford has done, including this great career year, and then a bunch more that are sort of in that line of Stafford's baseline in Detroit. So the thing that would separate him, and not just separate him, but like even claw back the disadvantage that he has overall versus a guy like Matt Ryan or Phillip Rivers, is a championship. And that's where you start to get into, Eli Manning conversations, that he's going to put himself pretty high on those all-time cumulative lists. Never really was one of the best quarterbacks in his era, but Eli Manning had 2 like legitimate Super Bowl moments, Super Bowl runs, playoff moment kind of. There's a lot of like all-time great highlight reel moments that you can attribute to Eli Manning. If Stafford does that once, I think he ends up forcing his way into that. That's the thing that people will give him over those other guys.
The moment we've been waiting for since September, it's finally here. In honor of the big game, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is giving new customers 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in New York, meaning you can bet from almost a third of the country. If Sportsbook isn't yet available in your state, play DraftKings Daily Fantasy Football Contest for Super Bowl 56. New customers can get a free shot at a $1 million top prize with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use promo code PFF, and get 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. It's promo code PFF at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. Got to be 21 or older. New. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full list of requirements and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Tennessee, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. All right, the Stafford debate. I think you pulled out the right names, right? If we're putting Stafford in, we putting Matt Ryan in.
I mean,
Matt Ryan's had a better career. I actually thought that people thought higher of Stafford than Matt Ryan coming into the season. I remember tweeting it out. Who's had a better career? And it went the complete opposite way. Everybody said Matt Ryan. I'm going to try it again, Sam.
I was going to say, you should tweet that poll out exactly the same way. I'm going to do
the same wording, everything. I think I'd said who's a better quarterback, but Ryan's had a better career. No, I said career. Ryan's had a better career. Does Stafford top that with a championship run? I don't think so. So you got to put Ryan in. And I'm even on the borderline with Phillip Rivers because he doesn't have those postseason moments. I think they matter, despite you trying to talk me away from it.
Well, so let me give you one more way of quantifying it, right? PFF War, which tries to kind of quantify the value element that a quarterback brought to the table, adjusting for an awful lot of factors, right? So essentially, how much value was that guy adding versus a replacement level quarterback? This is, again, Stafford's career best year. It's 3.35 wins above replacement, which ranks 7th in the NFL this season. He's had a couple of other years where he's jumped above 3, just 3.16 in 2011, 3.19 in 2013. That is not a high number for a great quarterback, right? Matt Ryan has 2 seasons that are above 4.5, right? So 1 and 2/10 wins above replacement above Stafford's career peak. Eli Manning has a career year above 5.05 wins above
2011, like in the Super Bowl run.
Yes, that Super Bowl run. Phillip Rivers has a couple of years where he was well above 4 as well. Like the peaks that Stafford has hit have not come close to those other guys as well. So even even if you're sort of saying, yeah, this has been a great season and a career year for him, even when he's been on his runs of the best Matthew Stafford play, he hasn't come close to achieving the value add that those guys have in their best years. And even if he has another great game in the Super Bowl and wins them that championship, yeah, it'll be a highlight reel moment. It'll be a thing that people hold up, but the body of work just is not the same.
Yeah, and look, I think you and I we would keep the doors a little bit tighter in the Hall of Fame if we were in charge. That's all. It's you got to earn it, and I always look at, first off, do I feel like I'm watching a Hall of Famer when I'm watching these players? Are they top 5 even at their position in their era? I think those are fair. If you go with Stafford, and even if you go with Ryan and Rivers, is Mark Brunell a Hall of Famer? He was top 5 for a while at his position. Is Brad Johnson? Brad Johnson's a top 8 quarterback of his era, won a Super Bowl. Just open the doors. Let them all in, Sam.
I mean, if you want my take, I wouldn't put any of those guys in there. I would draw the line. The Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, like that strata of quarterback, they were always a level above the next group down, right? The Phillip Rivers, the Ben Roethlisberger, the Eli Mannings, the Matthew Staffords, the Matt Ryans. There's a line between those two groups of quarterbacks. That line would be where I would draw the Hall of Fame line. Now, look, I don't have that option, right? It's already been drawn for me.
You'd be like blue grades only, right? Just the elite of the elite,
right? Like that's what to me, that's what the Hall of Fame is. It's the very best of the best to ever play. It's been broadened. It's been expanded now to we're getting way closer to the Hall of Very Good, and that's where these guys start to have a stronger case.
Some of our best PFF dailies are when we tell people they're not Hall of Famers. So we said we had a Julian Edelman episode. Sorry, he's really good, but maybe not a Hall of Famer. And now perhaps saying the same thing about Matthew Stafford. Unless he throws for 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. I don't know. We'll see. Still has a chance in the Super Bowl. Let us know. Is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Famer? It's a PFF NFL Daily.